This is the stand-ups, and I've been DJing for 20 years and producing for 15 years now. And yeah, I've been mainly playing house and techno in and out of London, all around the world. And yeah, so I like production a lot and producing a lot, and I've got my studio in London. And today here I brought a selection of my synths actually. I thought it would be nice to bring my circuit monostation, which I'm heavily using at the moment. I've got a little sampler here, SP16. I've got a little acid bassline machine, TB03, and a little modular set, which is based around the percussion sounds. So today I'll be going through them and having a little jam.
Because you're using this kind of setup in your studio. I mean, I don't know if anyone's seen the recent Facts interview that you did. You've got an absolutely beautiful studio that's sort of really focused around hardware. But you've been, when we spoke initially, you were kind of saying, I need to kind of get a synth or sequencer that can really integrate into my modular setup. So it's been really interesting seeing how you started to use this, basically, isn't it? So, I mean, what do you think when you're trying to sort of pick stuff to bring, really? What represents the sound, and you know why you've chosen certain things, really? Because obviously you've got a lot of kit. So how do you decide on what to bring, basically, is more what I'm asking.
I've actually got a very interesting sound, so it's very difficult for me to add instruments into it. So I need to find out, play around with it, and see if I can work around that within my sound. So that's why I'm very picky when it comes to hardware stuff. So I buy a lot of synths, but unfortunately most of them don't make it into the tracks. So yeah, so what I'm going to do today is to use the circuit monostation as the synth, and I will be also using it as a sequencer for my modular here. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you'd like to just sort of give us a bit of a run through, really, then, yeah, and just sort of start layering up maybe some sounds and show your sort of process, really. I'll quickly jump and make sure your levels are good.
Just to let you know, I brought my computer today here just to sync everything because I don't like MIDI, so I'm syncing everything through USB into the Logic. And the only thing I'll be using from the Logic is going to be a kick drum. Again, this is a special kick drum I've been using for the past 5-6 years. I've got about 15 kick drums that I always use. I'm very picky with the kick drums as well because all my productions are for the club and for my DJ sets, so I need to make sure they sound the way I like. So let's start with the kick drum. Another thing I really like is the acid sounds. I think it's very sexy and very kind of groovy. And today I brought a Roland TB3 with me, so I'll show you how it works. What I've done here, I've just done a little bass line with the acid, and I've added a little snare here, and a hi-hat. So now I'm going to move into the mono station where I'm going to add some melody into this. I actually really like this machine. So you can do so much with it. So what I'm trying to do here now, I've already got like a little session going on here. So I wrote a little melody here, but it already comes with some amazing sort of pre-sounds that or sessions you can come and choose. So I'll just go through a couple of them here. So if I go and select one of these, so I'll already have a sequence pattern playing here, which is great because you can instantly get into the music and start creating. You can remove the notes, change the melody, change the pitch, and obviously one of the most amazing thing about this unit here is the modulation matrix. So here you got the pitch. So with this knob you can control the pitch, the filter, the amp, distortion, everything. So this is really one of my favorite parts of this unit.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the sort of most important things really about the circuit mono station, the fact that it's effectively got the bass station engine at its heart. So it really is a very, very fat sounding mono synth when you need it. But then what's great about it with the aux CV, you've got lots of different routing capabilities and options and ideas available to you, which is just great. I love the fact that you can easily then hook this up to your modular system. So you could maybe be sat with it on your lap with some headphones on. You could maybe be working out an idea, and then you could then suddenly chuck it onto the Euro rack when you get back to the studio, isn't it? So very, very cool. But yeah, sorry.
So I'll go a little bit more into the mono station here, but before I do, what I've done here, I'm actually sequencing my modular system through the circuit. So this is completely different. So I was using it as a standalone synth, but now I'm actually going to control my modular synth here. So this sound is coming straight out of the modular unit. Well, it's very basic, but that's what I like about modular. You can come up with kind of weird percussion sounds, and when you add it into your track, it sounds really good. That's what I like about it. So here we go. So that's how I normally use it. I basically go into the sounds and try to find something catchy that will go along with my track, and I play around with it, adjust it into my sound, and obviously, while I'm not doing it right now, but whatever I do, I normally record, so everything goes straight into the Logic. So if I catch anything catchy, or if I believe that's the right part, I go back to the Logic and start chopping and adding them all to my track. So yeah, it's a very useful kit that at the moment is my go-to synth actually, and it's also helping me with the modular system, so which is great.
One of the things we were chatting about leading up to this was as well recording the automation on it as well. So if you press play again, you were showing us being able to record dedicated sort of elements to that. So for example, that filter sweep, it's not being recorded on the computer. I think you were saying the idea about recording live, and then you can easily then adjust that and have that sort of processing power come away from the computer. So I think that's yeah, it's really interesting sort of seeing how it's sort of integrated into your setup. Because at home you use one of the Claret 8 pre USBs, it's the 8 channel. So you normally multi-track, don't you? Rather than obviously here you've got your live system, so it's kind of more focused around having like a 2 channels via the Scarlett. So the idea being, I guess, at home you try and keep everything fairly separate. Is that right?
That's right. So I've been using Focusrite for the past 12 years now. I mean, I've started with the white unit. I don't know what model it was, but the white like a tower, and then I moved on to Scarlett. Then, sorry, this is the 4S one, was it? 12.4, and then I moved on to the Scarlett recently, and wow, the sound is just incredible. Because what's so special about it, it sounds so realistic, and that's what I like about it. So whatever you hear, you make, that's what you hear. With some kind of audio units, the sound can change a little bit, but yeah, Focusrite is great.
So again, we're just sort of going into wanting to sort of see. So what was your favourite features really of Circuit Mono Station, do you think, really? I mean, do you think the CV connectivity, what do you feel is the most powerful part of it really for you in your workflow?
Yes, definitely the CV part is, I think, the most important part. I like it as a synth, and it's very interesting. It's got sort of very interesting sounds, and it's very tiny, but it's very powerful. The sound count coming out of this machine is incredible. But normally in the studio, it's sitting right next to my modular unit. So I'm using it to sequence my modulation system. And as I said, the matrix helps me a lot to change the sound. And sometimes with the modular, you need that kind of little touch that will add something into your sound. So yeah, that's one of the main uses that I have in the studio.
So I think now we'll just have a bit of a jam really and just sort of see how you can sort of work with this unit. I think it's really useful for people to be able to sort of see kind of what's possible really with quite a modest setup, to be fair. interesting you were saying about the idea of sort of just literally recording your jams a lot of the time when you're working with a lot of your synths that you decide to use. You're not necessarily using them in like a conventional way as such, are you really?
Not really. That's what I like to do. So I kind of know what kind of sounds coming out of this machine. But what I like to do, once I got a little drum loop and a kind of bass line going on, I always go back to a machine like Circuit Mono Station and try to find like something melodic, something at the background that's kind of playing at the background. Nothing too heavy because my music is obviously based around techno. So nothing melodic around it, but like in a way more kind of sequenced, weird kind of drums sounds, or you can get like nice little chords and stuff. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, what would be your advice to someone sort of wanting to step out and sort of start buying synths? I mean, not necessarily everyone's got a big budget or things like that. I mean, what do you think is the most important thing for you for a synth? Is it things like it must do lots of different things, or what do you think is your tip to aspiring producers, really?
Well, to be honest, it's not as easy as it looks, but I don't even know half of the stuff I'm using here, but you know, it's about learning. So at some point I've realized I bought too many things and I haven't had a chance to learn them properly. So I would definitely recommend getting one piece to start with, you know, whether it's a mono circuit or something else. Just get to know, learn it inside out, because learning this actual unit will help you to move on to the others a lot quicker. And definitely, I think I definitely recommend monostation, because you can do so much with it. You know, it's not just a synth; it's a sequencer, and it can do so many other things. So, getting a single unit and getting to know that unit, I think, is the most important thing. Yeah.
And what's sort of next then for yourself? Obviously, you're doing the event with us this evening down at Block. But yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about the label and kind of what's happening next with that? I think quite a lot of people are interested in kind of your sound, and you've got a really sort of strong following, haven't you? People kind of love to sort of know a bit more about what the label's up to, really. So yeah, anything you'd like to share with that?
Well, not much happening as in anything other than touring at the moment. So I've got a really busy schedule. So I won't be home for another 3 months now. I'm going to Australia, from there America, Argentina, South America, everywhere. But other than that, the label is going very well. So we try to release like one record every 3 months. And next up we got Priku and Arapu from Romania. So that's the kind of sound you know, I really enjoy playing and sporting as well. And these guys are big fan of EastEnders label, so they were more than happy to sign up to my label. And yeah, we got lots of stuff coming up.
They're pretty. That Romanian sound is absolutely massive, isn't it? I mean, they're very kind of synth heavy, a lot of the tracks, even though they're not necessarily huge melodies, but very kind of intricate. Do you want to talk a little bit about that type of sound? Because again, that's quite a connect to the label, really.
Yes, very special and inspiring actually for me. That's what I like about music. You know, I like to work with artists that inspire me. I like to learn from people, and they definitely can teach me a thing or two. The way they produce is very interesting. So they use every little element within minimal functionality, but they use very interesting stuff. So they go out and record sort of field sounds with their recorder, and every single track has got a different texture sound behind it. Even that on its own, I think, is something pretty impressive. And yeah, they are obviously big fan of modular systems as well. And by the way, they all have monostation. Yeah, which is great.
Well, no, thanks very much. And yeah, thanks very much for joining us.